Good morning and welcome back to this special edition of Power BI Tips, Explicit Measures podcast. We're doing a kind of a Christmas special. We're recording this early, so don't worry, we're not actually up on Christmas morning celebrating Christmas and doing a podcast. But
we could be.
We could be. This is for those of you who don't enjoy your family and want to take a little break away from them in the afternoon and listen to us yammer on about Power BI and data things. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. And just wanted to say hello and welcome to the podcast. Hey, Tommy, how's it going?
Buon Natale, Merry Christmas. Buon Natale is Merry Christmas in Italian. Mike, if it was up to you and I, we'd talk about Power BI and Fabric on Christmas. We'd talk about it every day if we could.
I mean, we're on kind of Christmas break recording this episode anyways, and kind of slowing down around the Christmas week. And yet we're still doing the shows and the podcast and recording things. So yeah, we're kind of crazy. We like this stuff. I think this is we're all consumed by this data space.
It's hard not to think about it at this point.
It's you know how you try and make your career part of your career and not define who you are. I think in some ways Power BI and Fabric has defined a bit of who we are, and it just kind of oozes out as part of like our character now because we think about it and use it and leverage it so often these days.
That's interesting you say that, Mike, because when I was learning Italian, they were talking about the differences in how people are in Italy compared to America. Because when you say, what do you do? Like, I am a marketer or I am a data analyst. Sure. In Italian, they say I work in, and that's like the verbiage that they use. So people feel disconnected from their work or they don't feel like that's their identity. But I think for you and I, we embrace it. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, I work in this, but you got to understand it's a hobby. Like if I won the lottery, I wouldn't just change. Like I would not open a deli. I would open a deli, but I would also, what am I talking about? But I would also make sure that I'm still doing this at some capacity because it's just the way my mind works.
I would agree. I think I've also contemplated like what happens when you have enough to retire. What does retirement look like? What know, I think about those things. What does it look like for the future? I've got plenty more years to go of working before I actually get to that stage. But I think to your point, Tommy, I think that's what I would do. I think I would still kind of stay in this data space. I would focus on the fun things that I enjoy doing. Experimenting, building little side projects, probably hopping on YouTube. It's gotten so easy now to create content. I'd probably build like a little mini sample projects and explain how to build stuff. I think one of the fun things that we did recently was we did a quick tips, I guess.
Quick tips you do.
Yeah, we did a little quick tip recently, and it was all around building a streaming data set on a notebook and then using Copilot to help you vibe code it. I also do think, Tommy, there's something to say around this AI space that's going to be very much enabling people who don't normally build applications and programs to stay in tune with building things. And that's another area that I think is very
interesting. Take my Christmas present.
Oh, okay. Well, as it is, we do this traditionally. We typically give out Christmas presents. Tommy and I think about like, looking at Power BI and Fabric, our ecosystem, we kind of step back and say, okay, what Christmas gifts would we give each other in related to our data space? What would that look like for each other?
So, what we really want for Christmas, not ties or shoes or hats.
Yes, true.
Well, we'd actually really be excited if we opened up on Christmas Day. And again, Mike, you and I also, we give the gift to each other. And I think it's like 2 to 3 gifts, depending. And we also kind of say, would we actually take it or not? So this is actually the first time all year me and Mike actually have to think of each other's feelings.
Yes. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I know. It's really weird.
To see what the other person would like. So that's kind of our episode. So what we typically do in the episodes, I'll give Tommy a gift. I'll explain the gift. And I'll kind of get his reaction to it. We'll kind of unpack what that looks like. And then Tommy will then reciprocate and then give another gift as well. So that being said, you want to jump into gifts? Do you have anything to introduction on? I mean, I guess traditionally we go through any kind of like Christmas traditions that we go through.
Yeah, I was at a Christmas party with my wife's family this past weekend, and all the little kids. I just realized, Mike, I'm better at talking to little kids than I am to adults sometimes. Probably because that's where my intelligence is. But they like me. They're
on your level. They're on your level.
Yeah. I'm very funny to them. But one of the things I was asking them was, what's your favorite movie and what's your favorite Christmas song? And I love hearing all the different answers, even for kids today, where you think that was all change, right?
Sure.
It was amazing how much of the same songs and the same movies that our own generation was saying. So I'm not going to give you the classics because I want to hear yours. So I'm going to forward that question to you, Mike. What's your favorite movie during the holidays, and what's your favorite Christmas song? Or, and again, Christmas song, I'm willing to break into two, like your traditional, like
Yeah.
classic ones, and then the more not secular, but more pop culture ones.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you we just did this in our family recently. We asked the same question, believe it or not. Something
Oh,
around
that's
like
awesome.
so I started asking like what was your favorite what was your earliest memory of
Mhm.
Christmas? Like when do you first remember? Even to our
Ooh.
kids, like what was the first kind of time you thought about what were those first interactions with the holiday? So to answer your question directly, one of our favorite movies or one of the movies, I think I enjoyed The Grinch
Mm.
is one of the movies that we would remember or watch a lot around. But this year we did a new thing where we watched all of the Grinches. There's like 3 different movies of it now.
Oh,
There's like the new animated one. There's the
the
real life.
Benedict Cumberbatch one, the
Um,
Illumination one.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a new Grinch movie, and then there's the live action one with I think with like Jim
Jim
Carrey,
Carrey.
and then there's like the original one which I remember as growing up with it, but I did not realize the original Grinch was made in 1968. It's
It's like
that
24
old.
minutes long too.
Yeah, it's like it's short. It's like a 30-minute movie, but I guess like a special or something like that. But that
Mhm.
makes sense. And I think the original one was like literally them reading like the book and then
Oh,
having animation to go with the book pieces of
yeah.
that. But we watched all the movies this year and kind of went through them, and I think that's. I mean, I like Elf. I think Elf is a fun one, but I think of all the movies, my wife really likes White Christmas. I can't
Mhm.
stand that movie. It's just too long, and it's like, what the heck? I don't that one I'll stay away from. But I think the Grinch one, I enjoyed that one. It's a fun, lighthearted, shorter movie. I remember as a kid watching a lot of Charlie Brown Christmas.
Mm.
I think it was
Yes.
just kind of on in the background, and I didn't really like that one. It just kind of
Oh,
was
no.
on.
Really?
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
do remember Home Alone. I don't know if that's actually. I mean, it
It's
happens
definitely
around
Christmas.
Christmas,
No, it's a Christmas movie.
and then so that one I remember that one. I think some of the Home Alone ones was fun. I remember watching that growing up as a kid, and regularly watching that. And that's probably one of the movies that comes up most in conversation
Mhm.
when we're talking with our family around the holidays. Everyone talks about Home Alone. Like we're always oh yeah Home Alone, and that seems to be like a staple as well.
So it's funny you say those movies because those were the same movies all the kids said. So you
Oh,
just hit
interesting.
the gamut of
Yep.
even with today, whatever generation we're in, generation T, Z, or whatever. I don't know.
Whatever.
But whatever the kids are now, these kids, they're saying the same movies. That's exactly what I heard. It's like the heavy hitters of Home Alone,
Hmm.
which actually that house is like 25 minutes away from my house, which is kind of cool. We haven't visited, but
Oh, really?
yeah, it's in Chicago. And then obviously the Grinch, and then obviously no one's a Charlie Brown though. No one's a Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Now,
Again, I feel like that was more of like my family
right.
kind of thing. That was maybe one that we just kind of did. And I remember as a kid growing up, I liked Snoopy a lot, the character Snoopy.
Mhm.
And I had like this little Snoopy blanket that I'd take with me everywhere I
Yeah.
go. And I was obsessed with having my Snoopy blanket.
Yeah. I that's hilarious. I always wanted the Charlie Brown tree. I thought that was just appropriate for me, but I it's funny you say the elf and Grinch thing because I just heard that depending on what movie you like is going to
Yeah.
describe your humor and your personality because
Interesting.
you're either one or the other. You don't find many people who think Elf and the Grinch are both hilarious.
Hmm.
Usually, one per like for and I'm exact part of that. For me, Elf, like it's fine,
Yeah.
but nothing really stands out to me. And then the Grinch, though, is for me, that's also my favorite. That's the one that will still to this day, every single time I'll be belly laughing. So
It's the song. Like, I mean, to me,
song.
it's the song. You're a mean one, Mr.
Oh,
Grinch.
no, it's
Like,
Jim Carrey to me. It's
yeah,
just
but
I'm a
regardless, like,
psycho. I'm a psycho.
he did a really good job in that movie. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of like, I think it's a simple movie, and it makes sense, and that
Yeah.
was a classic for me, kind of growing up. I think.
All right, so what's the song then for you that you it's just like, Christmas.
You know what? I'll have to go after. So it's probably changed for me over the years. I
Yeah.
think more recently, the Christmas vibe is probably more of what my wife likes, and she
Mm.
absolutely loves Mariah Carey.
Oh,
So
no, no.
whenever that comes on, like that's like
Da, da,
every
da,
yeah,
da, 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 da.
everyone knows it's Christmas time, and mom comes out singing the song, and so like that's kind of like one of the major things that we have. That's probably one of the things that remind us the most of Christmas.
Yeah.
I do remember when I was a kid, though, we had a record player and we had a series of albums, just older music. I can't remember exactly which albums they were, but we had a series of records, and I remember pulling out records at Christmas time and putting
Mhm.
them on the record player, and then getting the record player started to play the Christmas music. And when we did that, then we would get out like the bins of Christmas things and the garland, and
Um,
then we start figuring out how to, decorate the tree and put up ornaments. That was like a Christmas tradition that we would do a lot as a
it's a good
kid.
one.
Is we'd pull out records of music and put them on, and we'd play that, and we would listen to it while throughout the house. So that was something I remember as a kid, kind of growing up with.
Right.
That was probably when I asked the question, "What was some of your earliest memories of Christmas?"
Yeah.
That was one of my earlier memories.
That's a good one. I unfortunately know when my last Christmas memory, or when I felt like Christmas ended for me, was
Oh,
when my
yeah.
dad for Christmas got me a flashlight, and I
Mm.
went, "Oh, I think Christmas is done for me now." Because he was like, "Yeah, you could break windows with it too, in case
Oh
you get
boy,
in an accident." I'm like, "Oh, wow. All right, I guess I'm not a kid anymore." So
no more
it's
toys for
over.
you.
No more T-Rexes.
Well,
um,
it gets
yeah.
difficult the older you get as a kid, because your presents seem to get larger and more expensive as you go. It just feels like that's what it is.
See, yeah, but for me, like we do a Secret Santa with my wife's family every year, and every year, like there's this like draw names. You can put all the
Yep.
stuff on a list,
Sure.
and I just like I don't put anything on the list ever because I just say, and these people know this. If you get me anything with a Yankee symbol on it, I'm happy. I'm good. Like it could be a bottle opener, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's awesome, and I really feel that way.
Yeah.
So don't think hard. Just it's like that's all I need. And my sister-in-law this year, bless her heart, she got me a Yankee wallet, which I needed, and a hat. And I'm stoked.
That's it.
I'm a very simple person.
But these are also things that you would like. You like them, and you wouldn't go buy them yourself. Like, I mean, you would go buy
Uh,
them, but it's like, it's
I
nicer when
would
you get
buy
it.
them if my wife was
That's the
married
point.
to my wife.
You've been barred from buying any more Yankees
Yeah,
things. Like,
yeah.
you've been told not to expend any more money on those
Yeah,
things.
we already hit that budget in January. So, but no, yeah, it's the same thing for me. The Christmas songs. I'm gonna be honest with you, Mike. I'm becoming more into the Grinch because every year, more and more songs I vehemently dislike. Like I have an adverse reaction to. Maybe it's because most of the songs are in a commercial now. Like if you watch a commercial, it's always a Christmas jingle. And that for whatever reason, that gets me so upset that every song is like, walking in a Honda Wonderland. You're like, screw you, Honda. I'm not going to buy a Honda anymore. And I just don't like that. That being said, every year when it's Christmas Eve and I start cooking, because that's again for us the Feast of the Seven Fishes, that's when I turn on the Andrea Bocelli's Christmas album and his rendition of A White Christmas. I feel like I turn into like my mother and I start just crying. And it's not like something happened in my life. It's just perfect.
Hit you in the heart.
Yeah, because then he starts singing in Italian, and I'm like making seafood, and like then I feel like I'm the kid again. Like that was my tradition, and I mean, Bocelli is just awesome. But you just hear him like, "Che va la da," and you're like, oh, so that's what hits home for me.
Um, I'll also kind of note here too, like that is another, I think, thing that around the Christmas season is when you get into that mood, or what things feel like it's the singing,
Yes,
the music side of things, that really kind of puts you in that space of like, okay,
yeah,
now this is that part of the season.
but that doesn't happen for me until the 24th.
That's true. Well, I feel like a lot of times with the older you get, the more you're like working, and then work is like all consuming until you get to a point where, okay, now I've done enough work, I can actually stand back and actually enjoy the Christmas season and step back from work for a bit. All right. With that, you want to kind of move over to Christmas things?
Let's do it. I think it's time for one of my favorite parts of the year.
All right. Well, who do you want to go first? That's like the hardest part of this whole thing is who starts this one off.
I wish I looked at who did it last year. I feel like I did it last year. So Mike, I am going to give the floor to you.
All right. So I'm going to give you a gift this year. I'm going to, for the lack of a better term, this one, I'm going to call this one Model Mayhem. And maybe this is a bit of a gift for myself as well. But
I love those gifts.
What is it? I gift you a bowling ball, and so I can go bowling or something.
Yeah,
So I don't know what it is. Yeah, so something like that. So I'm going to call this one Model Mayhem, and in Model Mayhem, it's going to allow you to anywhere there's an AI something. It's going to feel a lot more like VS Code, and in VS Code, when you use Visual Studio Code and you use Copilot there, you have the ability of picking like different kinds of models, which model you'd like to use. It doesn't have to only be ChatGPT. You could use Claude. You could use other things. So my gift to you this year would be a Model Mayhem, where in the tooling, anywhere it exists where there's models used inside Fabric, you'd have the same kind of picker capability. Pick which kind of model you'd like.
Ooh, okay.
And that would allow you to, wherever Copilot exists. And I would maybe kind of change the term here. Copilot wouldn't really mean Copilot anymore, like this kind of black box behind Microsoft. It'd be more of a like Copilot is like an AI assisted something that you're able to pick and use and switch the model and use it to do different things. So if you find, the newest models from ChatGPT, you can go into your notebook and you could pick those and use them from ChatGPT. If you find working with Claude in reports or having something from report side works better with a different language model, you can use that model and you can pick it as a user. So I think that would be my gift to you. It's just to kind of give you a bit more control around what models are being used in your user. This is probably more focused on the developer creative experiences.
Yes.
I didn't actually flesh this idea out very much. Like, what would it look like in like Copilot for home? Like, how would you do that? Maybe there would be some controls, like if you're building like an agent, right? Your agent, you tell the agent, hey, I want you to use this model versus that model, and then to the end user, they wouldn't be any the wiser on which model they were using. You would just pick the model that you want to use.
This feels like one of those gifts that you open and you look at your wife and you go, "You sure we didn't have this? I think this is in a house somewhere." And then you realize that you didn't have.
That's funny. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. You're like,
hey, I thought I got one of those last week. Didn't Uncle Frank? Uncle Frank, I think, gave me this last week.
No, well, not even that. It's like, I'm sure this has been in the house for years. And you go like, we don't? We never owned this. Wow. I guess we needed this. So this is one of those things, Mike, where, and I'm going to actually enhance your gift. And that's a Christmas gift in itself here.
Oh, there we go.
Where I like it, but I like you said, I think there's a few more things, a bit of half baked here. I'll be a little honest, just the only choosing a model, but let's make it more like VS Code, where not only in that model manager part, you can also modify those custom instructions. If you're,
I knew you were going to go there with that.
Yeah,
I knew that. I will say I did think about that part of it.
Yeah,
I was thinking about
no more cost to you.
Correct. And it actually saves you tokens if you use some custom instructions.
Right.
But again, the whole thing just feels very black boxy to me. And I don't think as a developer, right, of one who's building content in Power BI, I don't think I want it to feel so much like a black box. So I'm just trying to give a bit more exposure to like, okay, what's really being used behind here? And Microsoft is free to choose whatever they want for Copilot and all their experiences.
Right.
But I know they're constantly like moving in or out different models. They're testing different things. And there's probably a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure these things spit out reasonable stuff and they're not just arbitrarily spitting out junk or things that are not right. So I feel like I would like to have a bit more control around that for the developer side. And another, maybe alongside this too, Tommy, as I think about Fabric in general, I would like to have like in Foundry IQ or Azure Foundry, you can just build an agent. And you can just stick whatever model you want on top of it.
You can do that in Copilot Studio, for crying out loud. You choose which model you want.
I feel like there needs to be like this general. So I feel like what I would like as a developer person who builds stuff on top of Fabric, I want like we have a data agent that's focusing more on like connecting data with models and giving information to that data agent. And the data agent is then able to be kind of like a representative to other agents. Hey, here's stuff that I have. I feel like I want a general AI just to show up. Like, so just not a data agent. I think I just want like an agent and just say, here's the instructions I want you to do. Let me give you, for example, right? What I may want to do is I may want the data agent that I'm producing as a workload. I may want to feed it an image and say, recommend for me 6 colors that would match
Sure.
this image or background or whatever the thing is. Or, here's a report model review agent, right? I build an agent that goes through and says, here's some best practices on what we like to do for a company for this report. And it scans through the
100%.
report and then spits out some answers. Like, to me, that feels like something that should be able to exist inside Fabric, where you just have a general agent and I can talk to the general agent using an API and interact with it. And that's something that I could use as a developer. Also, I think it would enhance some of the other experiences in Power BI.
I'm going to go the other way, because I think when I'm in notebooks, or if I'm in the warehouse, there shouldn't be a single agent, because typically you're doing multiple things. That just because you're in one product doesn't mean there's one agent needed. I want the ability, when I'm in notebooks, to choose an agent, like the documenter. Like, hey, look at this notebook. And your goal, the purpose of that agent is to comment and document and understand what's going on in that notebook. Or the organizer, like that role for that notebook, for that agent, is to organize those cells that I have messed up and clean it up a bit. Or I'm a beginner, so treat me like a beginner. Or I'm already a developer, just give me code. Just spit out the code I need and put it in. I don't want descriptions. I don't want the fluff in the beginning or the end. Don't tell me you're right, just do it. So I would love that ability to have different agents within each product. And so outside of the model, give me one that actually serves a different purpose, because I'm finding myself in different needs each time I'm in the same product. But I will the fleshed out version, even the half baked, I'll take it, Mike, because again, I thought it was in the house already. It should have been, but the fact that we don't have it, let's make sure it's part of the kitchenware.
The AI stuff is moving fast. Who knows how long it'll take for it to get there to a certain part. I'm guessing it won't be very long before something either more like this materializes or something like this changes. So that'll be my first gift.
Right.
My first gift to you is called Model Mayhem, and allows you to adjust your models across your experiences.
All right. I like it. All right. So I am up next. And this is one of those times, Mike, when you have two gifts. You were going to give one initially, and then someone gave you something like, oh, can't kind of repeat that. So then you kind of switch them up. So I'm going to give you my second gift first.
Okay.
Here. So both of them, I'm really proud of both of them, but I don't want a notebook right back to back. This is called Application Writer. So a lot of times, this is very geared towards you, Mike, because you're building a lot of software, a lot of applications. And one of the big things I've heard from you, because I do listen, surprisingly, on the podcast, one thing I hear over and over is you want to be able to connect your Fabric data to those applications. And you can, and it is simple, but you have to know what you're doing. So what I've developed for you is almost like a new workload. But I know it's it's actually in now at Warehouse, the SQL database, and the analytics writer, a new button on the top called Application Writer. And what it allows you to do, depending on what data source you're in Fabric, it basically is like the Power Apps creator. A new window opens, you choose which data you need, what you're trying to do with it, and then it'll actually create that application or the packaging for you. So it's actually going to not only give you the connection string, which is, what it does now, but it will actually kind of almost auto write the different things I need to read, write, edit. Okay, these are the things that I need to do. Or, Mike, depending on the type of package you already have in VS Code or GitHub, you can connect to your repo and say, here are the things that this application does, and it will auto implement connection strings, how to connect, making sure that it can read or edit those tables, and it will plug and play and connect to that data automatically into that GitHub repo, or you upload a zip package that has all those files in it. So if you already have something like, let's say, your themes file, and you want to connect to a Fabric database you had, and you're like, okay, it's going to connect to all the JSON schema. It's going to auto look at that. It'll obviously verify that. It may even provide some work trees, so different branches for you. So it's not going to just go on your main one. So you can choose which branch or look at each branch to verify and choose the best version of it. But it just simply allows you, Mike, to not only have the connection strings, but also implement that modification, the writing to the data and the reading of the data in the different screens or interfaces that you're in. And again, this is available in every place that you have a data source, databases, endpoints, and the warehouse.
Nice. I like this. All right. So let me give you my reaction to this one. So this is,
Okay.
I can tell you've been listening because this is spot on one of my major pain points right now with building things. And I'm getting to a place right now. I mean, thinking about where we're in a very interesting time. I mean, I thought I was really interested in Power BI where it was adopted, when it was getting started. It was very fun to get started with Power BI, but it's been a 10-year journey to get to kind of where we are right now with there's a lot of adoption. It's kind of hitting a lot of the leader marks in a lot of the partners and Forrester waves. Like there's all these different marks. They're saying Microsoft is kind of leading these helm and data engineering with BI reporting. So it's kind of taken some time to get there.
Right.
One of the areas that I think is developing right now is a lot around like this agentic on-demand, faster way of building applications. And so I fully recognize all those applications need to live on top of some sort of data.
Right.
They have to exist somewhere, something. So in lieu of that, I'm looking at it going, how much of my real application could be built, like the data side, the data system side could be built on top of Fabric. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I like the ease. Once you get data into Fabric, it's very easy to move it between the lakehouse and notebooks. It's very easy to move between a lakehouse and a data warehouse. It's very easy to move it from, hey, I have some real-time information coming in. Let's make sure we send that real-time data coming into Fabric, and then I can easily report on it inside my actual application. So I feel like because there's such little friction between where the data is and then how do I use it into reporting, I want to bring more and more of my data as quickly as I can directly into the Fabric ecosystem. And I think that's just how I want to design things. And I think to your point, Tommy, I'm starting to see in the marketplace, again, back to this kind of application writer. I'm already seeing in the marketplace, people are already vibe coding. Like there's Lovable, there's Base 44, there's another one I was just looking at the other day. But there's all these kind of like agentic ways of building applications. And when you build an application, there's like three things you need. You need a way to store the data, like a database, something. You need security. So I need to be able to authenticate and get people in and around the app. And then you need some form of like a payment system. Like how do you integrate? Those are kind of like the three hardest things I say was like you have to kind of like figure those things out. And once you kind of organize those things out, you then are able then producing an app on top of those things. And I'm oversimplifying the app building experience.
Right.
But there's other tools like, using Lovable and this other program called Airtable, which is like a very flexible way of building things in the cloud. And it just makes it easy to work with. And so it's only a matter of time before all of the AI tools that build things automatically know how to authenticate, automatically know how to build reports and build data structures, and then automatically know how to like, okay, we automatically know how to integrate with like Venmo, PayPal, whatever. It's just part of what you know how to do. And the agent understands how to build these things for you. So I think we're getting to an era of, less around developers, but more around management and orchestration. If you can dream up these ideas, it can happen a lot faster.
Yeah. I love it, dude. That's awesome. So
this is great.
So good. This is something you think you're going to use?
So, I would 100% use it. And again, to maybe further on the idea here, Tommy, I would probably even echo, like, this is like bringing like Lovable, Base 44, agentic like things directly on top of like in the Fabric creation experience. Like it's almost like being able to say, I'm going to bring that in and say, okay, that's what you're describing is my biggest pain point with using Fabric and these agentic based tools. Because all the other tools use other open source, easy to integrate things. I can't just go into these tools. And maybe I could, but I can't just go in and say, create for me a SQL database in Fabric and use that as my source system for all the data. Or I'm going to be writing and reading this data into lake houses, like store all the files that people upload into this lake house. It should be that easy. It should be as easy as integrate this, integrate with Google Authenticator or integrate with being able to log in with these things. And it should just work.
I was using Cloud Code and I was saying, hey, I need to connect to this data. I want you to give me the best option here. One, like it's a Fabric database, but and kind of went through and said, give me some alternatives if you think that's going to be too difficult to do, because I don't want to use all my tokens. Like, well, you could do that, but you got to tell me how you're going to sign in, or just give me a CSV of that data. And, it told me how much easier it was going to be for the application. You're like, dang, like, not that I can't do it, but I agree with you. We have those connection strings, but authentication is a really big part.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think once those things get figured out, it makes it much easier for people to use the tools, right? Is once you iron out the experience of those basic integrations, everything else gets a lot easier.
Cool. All right. So I think you're up.
All right. So you did the application writer. I like it. It's a good gift. This may be like sometimes you give a gift timing, you're not sure if they're going to really like it or not. But we'll see. I'm going to give another one here called the Enhanced Lakehouse Catalog. So we've been talking a lot about like the Fabric IQ. We've been talking about all the things that exist. One of our thing in general, our gripes has been there's a disconnect between like real usage of data. There's been a disconnect between like all the way down to what's in the visuals. It's also a bit of a struggle to understand when you're using Analyze in Excel on top of a data model, in addition to having reports, because you don't get to see the Analyze in Excel items appearing inside the Fabric space. So I'm going to call this one Enhanced Lakehouse Catalog, which really is kind of the mix of ontology, Fabric IQ, and it gives you the ability to add as much metadata as you want to anything that lives in Fabric, right? One of the things that we miss right now, which I think should definitely exist, you can't add any metadata to a table or a column or anything like that. And it just doesn't seem to be working. I mean, it just needs more. So I'm giving you the full experience. This gift is the Enhanced Lakehouse Catalog, and it contains all the lineage things that you would need, going from Lakehouse through all the data systems, all the way down to visual level details. It gives you all that as one view. And then also it'll add usage data against those things. So that way, not only can you see holistically what your company's doing, and we've, again, heavily discussed this. And as I'm unpacking this idea, as I was thinking about this for you, Tommy, I was thinking, this does make sense where the ontology should be used, right? That we should be able to have like references in the ontologies, and maybe there's many different multiple ontologies that are kind of all linked together. And then how do you find similarities and then build like a monolithic one that's like everything in the business? We also talked about the backwards ontology or the concept of that. And this also kind of, I think, feels like it fits that step where you're actually able to holistically look at the whole company. And when we say the word customer, we realize the customer information might have an entire semantic model bound to it. It might have individual tables in the lakehouse. The customer may have multiple definitions. There may be a customer table for operations. There may be a different one for sales. But just being able to have a place where we can have all the information together and then have the conversation around that. I'm not going to talk about any of the business process because I think we could debate that all day long, how to make it work well. But just the focusing on the idea of everything you need to find is part of the lakehouse.
This is definitely a gift that I turn to my wife, go, I know I got this before. I feel like it's like a previous year's version.
I probably have like, we didn't have ontology before.
No,
we
didn't have ontology. That's why I'm saying it's like getting mad in 2007 or whatever. You're like, I think I got the video game, but this is the updated version.
Yes, so, exactly.
Yeah, like this is this year's version.
Tommy, you had Madden 95. I just gave you Madden 25. 2025.
Exactly. That's what it feels like. I can play the game now, but this feels like this is just going to be a better game now.
Actually, you know what? This is the most this is the modern version of, what is it? NFL Blitz.
Oh man,
remember that one,
dude? If you could just get me that, I'd be happy.
Right?
Blitz and Fabric when I'm bored, when I'm waiting for something to load, just Blitz pops up.
Yep.
No, I think the key word you said in this gift is setup, where it does the setup for you, because I think this is how that works. I don't know, and honestly, I don't care at this point, because that's what I'm concerned with. What we've done already with the lake house and the one lake catalog, and more importantly, what we've seen with an ontology is like, again, the biggest gripe right now is I have not seen a complete ontology yet. And if I did, I don't know what it looks like. More importantly, I don't know what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I think to see that connected to everything else is just going to give me to your point, at the very least, give me a better idea of my definitions and what the heck's going on in my tenant. And that's a win for me. Now,
Yep.
what ontology can do and the application of it, fine. But
Sure.
right now, we feel like ontology is making things a little more confusing for us and what our definitions are. So yeah, you got to give me that setup. This is something I'm absolutely, like I said, I already have it. I'm just going to update my firmware. I'm going to update the version with the new licensing that you gave me.
Yep.
So I now have the latest version. So thank you very much. I like it. It's not going to be, in a sense, the best gift, but it's going to be essential to make sure this stuff. One of the first things we're going to do when I get back to work is update that software so it's working.
Yeah,
So,
it's a practical gift. But I think this is something that's kind of needed. I think that Microsoft has been doing a good job in this space. I think it's getting better. But if I look at like some things that I've observed, one is Microsoft was deprecating master data management inside SQL's server, I think is what it was. So SQL Server has this version of like master data things, like things that are master data. There is, I believe, a tag inside Fabric. I think you can use a tag on a data table or data things. You can call data master data. So you can tag things as master data inside Fabric as well, which is nice. I like that idea as well. But when I step back and say, okay, well, what does master data need? And I think about the catalog. It seems like they integrate well here. The enhanced catalog, I need the lineage of everything. I need to know where this master data is being picked up from. I need to be able to trace it down to where it's being used. I think as an admin, we want more of these capabilities.
Right.
So I see this one like catalog experience being two parts, right? One, it's an admin to help them govern and see all the things that are inside their world, but also it needs to be like a discovery tool, right? So when you're giving these things out, people don't know what to do with this stuff. You could give, I mean, I could give you a bunch of Lakehouse tables, but if you don't understand what to do with them, like you're off on your own and you may build something that's just totally wrong. And that's possible, but how do you not do that? Like, how do you help guide them along so it's better?
It's interesting that you said tags. That's not my second gift, but I'm going to add it on to yours and just say it's an add-on or plugin that we'll just buy for people. And it would be called Tag Manager, because right now you can tag things, but they behave in the admin settings. It's not hard to do to tag something, but you have to manually go through the settings and you have to do one individual. And then when you actually want to filter or quickly see what's tagged by certain things, I feel like it should be much more intuitive. It should be something like, hey, I want to see tagged everything here in this workspace, because it's almost like a quick filter, a quick categorical view. So we're going to add on here the plugin, the add-on you can get that we'll pay for with the gift card is Tag Manager to this ontology view, where any workspace you're in, you may have some saved tags. You just click, boop, I want to see all my process tags. That just quickly filters. It's like almost like a quick filter for everything. So
I think that currently exists inside the Lakehouse. What I don't know though is, Tommy, is if you're inside a particular workspace.
Yeah.
I know there's advanced filtering things, and I think you can. I'm just double checking right quick.
But again, I want quick view explorer and quick filter, so I can save what tags are on the menu bar. It's almost yeah,
it's just a better way of I mean, I think you can filter by type and workload and owner, but I think if you have tags on items in a workspace, I think it also gives you the ability to. I think it gets you the ability. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Right.
That feels like this is, to your point earlier, Tommy. If this doesn't exist, I would have assumed this already, like, this would have been like, we already have this gift. This should already be in here. If that doesn't exist, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. All right, Mike, I'm going to end it with my last gift.
Sure.
And I think you're really going to like this. And we're calling this Notepad. One of the things that we obviously, notebooks are a big part of our lives now. And we had the conversations with Emily and we've talked about a lot of different things. I think we have one coming up as well. We just talked about notebooks, I believe.
Yep.
If I have my everything in order, and notebooks are great, especially the one-click notebooks or when you're trying to do something. But there's some problems in terms of every time I want to open a notebook or do the one-click notebook, it creates a new one. And I'm starting fresh with a blank sheet, typically I'm trying to do a lot of simple things. Maybe I want to quickly view something with the one-click semantic model. Now I have a new notebook called Notebook One, so I have to make sure to rename it.
Sure.
So Notepad is two things. It is a quick access to a notebook that does not save. So I can quickly run through the gamut if I want to do that one-click notebook, but I just want to view it now temporarily. I don't need to save it just to view the tabular data. Just like every time I open tabular editor and do VertiPack Engine, it doesn't save a new file. It's just a quick view. So Notepad allows me to quickly run through a cells, run Spark on a workspace in a lakehouse, but not necessarily save the notebook. But more importantly, I know how we're going to add another right-hand pane. And just like you have those quick snippets right now that are saved by Microsoft, I have my own saved cells with variable support. And it knows the variable, like you save these sticky notes, so to speak, or sticky cells, we'll call it. Actually, that's a much better name. Sticky cells, where it's like, hey, do connection and do a data frame and do the info view or the schema of everything. Well, it knows if I have a default connection to a lakehouse, it just automatically does that connection string in there once I insert it as a new cell. All I have to do is pick a table, and then I can run that. And I can save, I can customize this as much as I want. I can have as many sticky cells and organize them as I want. So I can be in any notebook. And typically I'm doing a lot of the same things. I don't want to open that one notebook that I know has a lot of those saved queries that I like. I want to quickly be able to access the ones that I'm using constantly. Again, so I have like a sticky cell manager where I can, it's not the like workspace variable support. It's specific to the notebooks. So I can say like, auto insert based on certain conditions. So I have the ability, one, temporarily run a notebook that's not saved, or two, choose from all my sticky cells that I've customized. So it's a little better enhanced version of the snippet view right now.
Interesting. I would not have put that kind of feature together with things. So let me ask just a clarifying question so I can understand. Is your expectation I'm going to ask just to understand kind of where I would use this present. Let's say I'm on a report page. I'm in the report. I'm in the report, or I'm editing the report. Is this something that would be a panel that would fly out on the right-hand side?
It would not be with the report. It would be when you're viewing the semantic model.
So you're talking in the semantic model side. So basically being able to split that screen into kind of two. Here's the semantic model side, and here's
your notepad.
Sticky cells, or
it's typically the sticky cells are going to be with the notebook. But when I want to say model performance or the BPA analyzer, I don't necessarily need to save that notebook. I just want to quickly run the BPA on that model, or I want to view the model performance, or all those community notebooks, right? I don't necessarily want to save that per report. I just want to run that one time.
Sure.
So those notepads or those notebooks that either are temporary, are a temporary run. Well, I can quickly run that without actually being a new notebook saved, or they're just sticky cells I have in any notebook that I'm editing.
I like it. I think I like this one. I think this definitely has a place for it. I think I like where this is going. I would probably ask to extend that experience in more places than just the semantic model. I think it's useful multiple places.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Well, sure.
I'm almost thinking, even again, this is probably something that's a bit too much here, but like I'd almost feel like this is something where we have DAX query view in desktop. We have Timdal view for managing the model experiences, right? Maybe there's something around like a new notebook view, right? And so maybe the notebook becomes part of desktop as well.
Ooh, yeah.
So you have like on the left-hand side, you have the different experiences, and maybe you go down to the bottom with it's just like, hey, we're just going to drop in notebooks, and you can remotely connect to that model that's in the service, and it's got Python and Spark and all the things behind it. And you can run a Python notebook or a Spark notebook, and it just knows how to run things on top of that. I think that would kind of really interestingly make sense in that way. And then also when you're in the service, I would have the model and or the notebook. I mean, I will say this, Tommy, already today, I'm spending a lot more time with. I like the web experience of just creating things. I've been saying this for a while now.
Yes.
And it more centers around the idea that I can have multiple windows open at the same time, and I can interact with different things in the same places. Like I can have the lake house open. I can see all the tables. I can query the tables and see what the tables are producing. I can have the semantic model open. I can make new measures as I'm making new columns. And then I can go over to the report page and then build report pieces as the model is basically updating itself as I'm building the other things. So, I mean, I really do feel like because I have a lot of screen real estate, I don't have to relinquish myself to one view. And this is maybe one of the areas why I don't really think I like, Tommy, the new Fabric multiple tabs
Oh,
experiences, because I don't typically work in a single browser ever, honestly. Like, I'm on a machine that has plenty of real estate. And if I'm a developer, I'm using the full real estate. I've got
right.
multiple screens. I've got multiple windows open. I'm touching multiple things across lakehouse, models, reports, all at the same time, and possibly even notebooks. So to me, that just feels more natural to have that open and much larger experiences.
It's so funny when people see my office for the first time, they go, "Why do you have 5 screens?" And my response now is 2 words: Microsoft Fabric.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
I would agree
no,
with that.
100%. Now, the notebook thing in the desktop is interesting because that should theoretically be more than possible, because if I
Yeah.
wanna run Copilot, right, that's not Copilot running on my machine. I have to connect to a workspace, and it has to say that Copilot's running from where. So if I'm running a semantic model, even if it's direct lake, maybe that's the only place it's available, it already knows what workspace I'm in.
Yeah.
So let me
Mm.
connect that way and just run off the service.
That's interesting, Tommy. I would also feel like that's something else. Like VS Code does that today currently, where VS
Yes.
Code connects to like a GitHub
Well,
Copilot
yeah,
experience.
but you have to install the Conda, like mini Conda on your machine to do the Spark extension for on
Agree.
desktop. So I
Fine.
don't
I
know
mean,
what
just
that's doing, but yeah.
I'm just saying. I guess I'm not worried about the technical pieces of that. I'd just be more of like Microsoft make it work kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, yeah.
if I'm in Power BI desktop right now, I have to use VS Code to get all the enhanced AI things out of it.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Why can't I just lift whatever the GitHub Copilot thing is, experience is, and just put that inside desktop, right? Why would not just be
Yeah.
there? I mean, if I'm really going to be developing with AI and things, I think you're going to. Well, let me say it this way: as a company that builds software and uses AI and does things with AI to help them build software, I think it's very essential for companies to start thinking about, like, how do you get your hands on the AI? What
Mhm.
AIs are you actually using, and how do you integrate them with other stuff?
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is, I don't want to go out and buy a ChatGPT license, a Claude Code, a Cursor license. I don't want to have 3 separate licenses, nor do I want to send
I know.
those companies my data. What I feel more comfortable around is having Microsoft use those models inside the Microsoft ecosystem and send my queries to those models to use the models, as opposed to
Yeah.
going directly to the source systems. Because whenever you look at the legalese, like when you go to
Legalese.
chatgpt.com and use an AI right there directly, all your prompts are being used, and they're using that for like research or whatever. Your prompt may not exactly show up in other code, but there's been a whole bunch of like vulnerabilities and weaknesses around this
Oh,
where
yeah.
they're using prompts and other things to help it become better, more useful, which is great. I think that's a good idea. I just don't want any of my prompts or tokens to be used in the training of the next program. And I feel like Microsoft has a little bit better of a story here of use their infrastructure and use your own prompts.
I love it. All right, Mike. Well, I think that's all the gifts.
Yeah, we went through I didn't think we were actually going to get a full hour, but we're pretty close to it right now. So thanks for a wonderful Christmas gift here, Tommy. It's fun talking about like neat new ideas, where we think the product should go and what things we find most interesting, and even a little bit of parts here where we see there's a little bit of friction on
Mhm.
how to make things better for us. That being said, thank you all very much for listening to this episode. We hope you had a great Christmas and a good holiday for you, enjoying that time with friends and family. That being said, if you like these episodes, if you want to get these episodes as soon as they're published, you're more than welcome to subscribe to them directly on our YouTube channel. So we highly recommend you go join us over there, join our community, and you'll get the episodes and videos as soon as they're recorded right there on that YouTube channel. Tommy, where else can you find the podcast?
You can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe and leave a rating, and it helps us out a ton. Do you have a question, idea, or topic that you want us to talk about in a future episode? Head over to Power BI Tips/podcast. Leave your name and a great question. And finally, join us live every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 a.m. Central, and join the conversation on all the Power BI Tips social media channels.
Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time.